Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 229 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin let out a cold snort as he moved and he instantly appeared next to the fog beast. His two fingers formed a sword and moved faster than the fog beast. He directly pressed his finger between the eyebrows of the fog beast and it exploded. However, after it collapsed, it didn't dissipate and instead turned into a cloud of fog. The fog twisted and began to show signs of reforming. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he arrived near where the fog was reforming. The thunder inside his body gathered at the tip of his finger. A ball of thunder suddenly appeared. With a point of Wang Lin's finger, the ball of thunder charged out toward the reforming fog. There were a series of explosions as the fog collapsed even more into strands of smoke. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his hand formed a seal and pointed out. Even more thunder appeared and violent rumbles echoed the area. All of the remaining fog immediately disintegrated. The remaining fog beasts let out sharp roars at this moment and charged out toward the people around them. Wang Lin remained calm and took a step forward. He floated in the air as his finger pointed at the sky. He slowly said, "Underworld River." There was a loud rumble in the sky and the Underworld River appeared. It came from the void and a powerful aura of grievance spread out. Wang Lin was standing on top of the Underworld River as if he was the lord of the underworld. Third ability, the power of the Underworld River. An unimaginable suction force came from the Underworld River. The fog beasts that had rushed out roaring was immediately affected and involuntarily sucked into the Underworld River. It wasn't only one fog beast but almost all of them. Under the suction force, the fog beasts collapsed into mist as if they were struggling to escape. However, they couldn't resist, so they continued to be sucked into the Underworld River. At this moment, the ancestor of the chosen immortal clan revealed an anxious expression and shouted to stop Wang Lin, "Upper Celestial mustn't." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. When the old man shouted, he felt that the black fog sucked in by the Underworld River wasn't being refined. Instead, it gathered and formed a human-shaped figure. This human figure was only a silhouette filled with mist without a clear appearance. However, after it appeared, it was as if the Underworld River had lost its power and it directly stepped out. After he appeared, his expression was completely blurry and only the right eye was clear. The ancestor of the chosen immortal clan quickly landed from the sky. Not only him, but the other clan members quickly landed as well. After the old man saw that the human figure only had a right eye, he let out a breath of relief. He looked at Wang Lin and shouted, "Upper Celestial, please come back so I can activate the Celestial Array. This is a humanoid fog beast. As long as any spell that lands on it doesn't immediately kill it, it won't be hurt by that spell a second time." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he quickly retreated. Just as he retreated, the humanoid fog beast with one eye immediately rushed after Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and the thunder in his body gathered. In the blink of an eye, dozens of fist-sized balls of thunder formed around Wang Lin. With a point of his finger, the balls of thunder rushed toward the humanoid fog beast. However, at the moment the balls of thunder closed in, Wang Lin shouted while retreating, "Gather!" The balls of thunder immediately gathered into one and landed on the humanoid fog beast. There was a loud rumble and the humanoid fog beast collapsed, but the next instant, it reformed as if it hadn't taken any damage. It continued to chase after Wang Lin. Only now there were power of thunder in its body. When it chased after Wang Lin, the thunder it gave off was almost exactly the same as Wang Lin's thunder. The thunder made the humanoid fog beast move even faster. In a flash, it caught up to Wang Lin. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes as his right hand touched his bag of holding and the celestial sword appeared. Wang Lin mercilessly chopped down with the celestial sword. The heavenly chop immediately appeared. The humanoid fog beast stopped and its eyes revealed terror. It wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The humanoid fog beast silently split into two and a large amount of fog gushed out along with a miserable groan. Wang Lin took a step forward and disappeared. He then reappeared next to the fog and used the heavenly chop once more. Rays of heavenly chop appeared as the fog continued to collapse. However, moments later, the fog seemed to begin to resist the heavenly chop. The speed of its collapse slowed down, and it even showed signs of reforming. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right hand pointed forward, and he shouted, "Stop!" The celestial stop spell immediately filled the area, and the reforming fog immediately stopped. At this moment, the beast bone tattoo on Wang Lin's right hand suddenly appeared. The moment the large beast appeared, its eyes gave off a ghostly light and a dense, evil aura filled the area. The fog emitted a grey light and began to petrify. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as his finger pointed at the petrified fog, and a large amount of origin energy rushed in. The petrified fog collapsed into pieces, and the pieces collapsed and finally disintegrated completely. This scene caused the eyes of the members of the chosen immortal clan to widen. This was the first time they had seen the humanoid fog beast, which would often require the formation to kill, destroyed by just one person in such a short period of time. What shocked them even more was that the humanoid beast almost had no chance to resist at all. It was constantly being pushed back before it eventually met its demise. As for the burly man who was pressed into the ground by the fragment, he struggled to get up. He stared at Wang Lin in the air and was completely startled. This is a celestial. Wang Lin's spells were far beyond everyone's imagination. Even the ancestor was stunned as he muttered to himself, with a Dao pair. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from where the human-shaped fog beast had disappeared. Then he turned toward the old man and calmly said, "Now take me to the mysterious yin furnace." The old man took a deep breath. The respect in his eyes became even stronger, and he quickly said, "This way, upper celestial." As he spoke, he flew into the air and slowly flew toward the group of buildings. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he casually followed behind. This time, none of the members of the chosen immortal clan dared to stop them. The burly man's eyes lit up and stood up. He then took a few deep breaths before flying after them. The old man turned around and angrily shouted, "Ta Shan, you going to continue to be ungrateful? The upper celestial has already been merciful." Wang Lin indeed showed mercy. After all, he had come here without knowing anything. He was afraid it would affect matters if he killed someone, otherwise, Ta Shan would have died for sure. Ta Shan said, "Ancestor, Ta Shan knows he was wrong. I just want to go with you guys to the mysterious yin furnace. After all, I'm very familiar with that place." The old man frowned and was about to reprimand him when Wang Lin calmly said, "Come, lead the way." The old man bowed and ignored Ta Shan as he flew forward. The three of them weren't fast, and after the time it takes half an incense stick to burn, Wang Lin saw an altar in an open area past the buildings. This altar wasn't big and there were many cracks on it. Under the altar was a gate that was purple. On it was a rune that sometimes flickered. The old man landed before the door. He then bit the tip of his finger and drew the same rune as the one on the door in the air with his blood. There was a flash of red light as the sound of the gate opening echoed throughout the area, revealing the dark entrance inside. Strands of cold aura came out from inside. When the cold landed on the body, it was as if it could drill into your body. If one's cultivation was lacking, this cold aura would leave behind hidden injuries. The old man stood to the side. "Upper Celestial, this is where the mysterious yin furnace is located." Wang Lin's divine sense spread out. There was very well hidden celestial spiritual energy under this cold aura. Wang Lin calmly said, "Go in." The old man nodded and walked toward the entrance. Ta Shan hesitated before his eyes became filled with decisiveness. He walked a few steps forward and blocked the old man. The old man frowned and shouted, "Ta Shan, what are you doing now?" Ta Shan looked at Wang Lin and said, "This place is filled with cold energy. The ancestor is too old, so it is inconvenient. Let me lead the way, okay?" The old man was startled and said, "Although the cold energy is strong, my body can still bear it." Ta Shan looked at Wang Lin and said, "Upper Celestial, Ta Shan is this generation's altar keeper. I have the qualifications to bring you inside." Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he looked at Ta Shan. His eyes seemed to contain penetrating power and could see through Ta Shan's heart. Under this gaze, Ta Shan still looked at Wang Lin and didn't try to avoid Wang Lin's gaze at all. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and calmly said, "Okay." Tarshan no longer spoke. He turned around and walked into the entrance. Wang Lin revealed a sneer and slowly followed inside. As for the old man, he frowned. He had vaguely seen through Tarshan's thoughts. However, he didn't follow and sat down on the ground. There were layers of stairs inside the entrance. As they walked down the stairs, the cold aura became even stronger. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, they reached the bottom with Tarshan leading the way. At the moment they reached the bottom, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. There was another world at the bottom of the entrance. This area was about 1,000 feet wide with a 100-foot furnace in the middle. The surface of the furnace had countless tattoo marks engraved on it. Waves of black fog circled around the top of the furnace as if they were trying to escape. However, there was a strange power preventing the black fog from leaving. There were 9 skulls around the large furnace. These skulls were not beast skulls, but human skulls. There was a very complex tattoo between the eyebrows of each of the skulls. The skulls emitted bursts of black light was as if they formed a formation. Tarshan looked at the large furnace with a complex gaze and whispered, "This is the mysterious Yin furnace." Wang Lin's eyes glowed like a torch and his divine sense circled the furnace. After hesitating for a moment, his divine sense rushed into the furnace without any resistance. However, the moment his divine went inside, a sharp shrill from a woman came out from inside. This sound was extremely strange. It was impossible to hear with one's ears and could only be heard with one's divine sense. It was filled with killing intent as it rushed out like a storm. It almost caused Wang Lin's divine sense to collapse. Wang Lin's body flickered and he retreated a few steps. His face turned slightly pale, but his eyes shined brightly. Wang Lin stared the furnace and slowly said, "I'll stay here for a few days. You can go out first." Tarshan silently pondered and then raised his head to look at Wang Lin. After hesitating for a moment, he asked, "You, really a celestial?" Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at Tarshan. When Tarshan asked to lead him alone, he already realized that Tarshan had a question for him. Wang Lin silently and calmly looked at Tarshan. Tarshan revealed a bitter expression and whispered, "In my childhood, I often heard from my elders that we were chosen by the Celestials. We were to spend our lives serving the Celestials. It is the honor of my clan. This honor was the only belief in my heart as I grew up. This isn't only me, but almost everyone who grew up in the clan. However, as I grew up, I gradually discovered that this isn't true. No one had seen a celestial besides that celestial jade in the temple. Every once in a while, the mysterious Yin furnace my clan guards would spew out fog. The things that came out of the fog would slaughter my clan. I suffered grief and indignation at the deaths of every single one of my clan members. I began to question if celestials even existed. Even until today, I, Tarshan, still don't believe celestials exist. If they really do exist, why have they forgotten about us for so many years?" Wang Lin silently pondered. When he heard the old man claim them to be the chosen immortal clan, he had a guess. The chosen immortal clan. The forsaken immortal clan. One choice to abandon. Tell me, are there celestials in this world? Are you a celestial? Tarshan raised his head and looked at Wang Lin. His voice was very low, but it had the impact stronger than a roar. Wang Lin calmly and slowly said, "I'm not a celestial." Tarshan's body trembled and the bitterness on his face became even stronger. There might still be celestials around, but the celestial realm collapsed a long time ago. Wang Lin's gaze landed on the mysterious Yin furnace. Tarshan let out a miserable smile as he took a few steps back and muttered, "Sure enough, I was right. Celestials? There are no celestials. My clan made the wrong decision to guard this place all this time." Wang Lin stared at the mysterious Yin furnace and slowly asked, "What is inside this furnace?" Tarshan muttered, "I don't know. The clan records say that countless years ago, Celestial King Carefree brought my clan into the body of the Nether Beast to guard this mysterious Yin furnace until he returned. How do I leave this place?" Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. Tarshan took a deep breath and wryly smiled. There is no way to leave. This place is completely sealed. I have tried to find a way out of here to find the Celestials, but I failed. This sky has a limit, but I'm unable to pass it. Outside the cracks of the meat wall it is an endless void. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he asked, what did the Celestial Jade from back then say? Can't see. No one has been able to see what is inside. Not one among the countless clan members that have died were able to see the contents. Tarshan gradually recovered from the shock. Wang Lin frowned. After pondering for a bit, he stepped forward and pressed his hand against the mysterious yin furnace. His divine sense entered it once more. In almost an instant, that shrill that could penetrate divine sense appeared once more. This time it was several times more intense than before. It immediately penetrated Wang Lin's divine sense and echoed in his mind. Wang Lin focused on using origin energy to protect his origin soul and began resisting the shrill. That sound became even more intense in his mind. In the end, the penetrating force reached its peak. Wang Lin's expression turned pale as he retracted his hand and his body retreated. Every step he retreated caused the ground to shake and left behind a deep footprint. Only after he retreated 7 steps did his expression recover. After letting out a cold snort, he charged forward and arrived next to the mouth of the furnace. When he looked inside, he saw that it was completely dark inside. The black fog around it gave off a cold aura. His eyes lit up and his hand rose into the air. The thunder in his body rushed out, forming a ball of thunder in his hand. He threw it at the top of the furnace. The ball of thunder landed on the mouth of the furnace with a rumble. However, at this moment, the black fog gathered and devoured the ball of thunder. Wang Lin shouted, "Explode!" A muffled rumble echoed with the collapse of the ball of thunder and the black fog was pushed out. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as if his gaze could penetrate the black fog and see the bottom. There was a small transfer array inside. The black fog moved and covered the transfer array. Then the black fog rapidly condensed and took human form. It was a woman, but her body was formed by the fog, so it was impossible to see what she looked like. However, after she appeared, she immediately charged out. There was black fog under her as she charged out and let out a scream. This time this scream wasn't only targeting the origin soul, it could also harm the flesh. This scream was so powerful that it almost turned solid as it shot toward Wang Lin. Tarshan wasn't far away, so he was also affected. His face became pale, his eyes dimmed, and he subconsciously retreated. He didn't have a mutated thunder soul, so his origin soul was injured. Wang Lin retreated without hesitation but was still affected. His expression turned pale and blood came out of his mouth. He grabbed Tarshan and directly flew toward the exit. The shadow of the woman from inside the furnace chased after them. She was very fast, so she caught up to them in an instant and let out another scream. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes as he spat out a mouthful of essence blood. The mist of blood rushed toward the shadow of the woman. Wang Lin shouted, "Seal!" The blood mist turned into many restrictions and immediately stuck to her body, forming a large seal. At the same time, Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he pointed at the void. The Karma whip suddenly appeared and mercilessly lashed at the woman. The shadow of the woman let out a miserable groan. She retreated a few steps but immediately rushed forward once more. Her body scattered into 9 strands of black gas which shot toward Wang Lin like arrows. Wang Lin frowned as he continued to retreat. This time he arrived at the door and threw Tarshan backwards. He pointed between his eyebrows and the third eye immediately opened up, then red light surrounded the entrance. Under the red light, the 9 strands of black gas immediately began to dissipate. Then they rapidly merged back together and were able to completely ignore the red light formed the third eye as they rapidly charged toward the exit. The old man at the exit had already seen the black gas. His expression changed greatly and without Wang Lin's command, his hand began to form eels. The plant between his eyebrows began to flash rapidly and then imprinted on the door. The large door began to slowly close with a loud rumble. The woman's sharp scream immediately came from behind the door. The old man's body trembled as he coughed out blood and his entire body became dispirited. At the moment the door was about to close, the woman was about to charge out. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he slapped his bag and took out the celestial brush. He immediately drew 6 strokes and they shot out like rays of swords that blocked in front of the woman charging out. There was a loud bang and the woman's shadow paused. At this moment, the door closed and blocked out her scream. Tarshan was extremely shocked by this. He stared at the door and his scalp was numb. What is that? The spirit of the mysterious Yin furnace. The ancestor of the chosen immortal clan wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth and revealed a complex expression. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy and he sat down. The two of you, leave. Don't let anyone get within 1,000 feet of here. The old man silently pondered. After a moment, he respectfully nodded. Then he and Tarshan turned into a ray of light and flew into the distance. Wang Lin stared at the door. When the old man opened the door, he clearly saw the old man use the tattoo from between his eyebrows. This tattoo was clearly his life tattoo. While pondering, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding. Back when he was still on planet Suzaku, he obtained a lot of skulls from the Forsaken Immortal clan. There was a flash of light and several skulls appeared before him. There was a complex tattoo on each skull. After taking a closer look, Wang Lin put them away. Then his eyes lit up and he looked up at the sky. The sky was blue, but with Wang Lin's gaze, he could vaguely see that at the border of the white clouds, the wall of flesh was still there. If this place is really sealed, then how was I sent here? This place is not friendly. I have to find a way to leave as soon as possible. But while it is dangerous here, it is also the best place to hide. Wang Lin pondered as he slapped his bag and an item flew out. This item was about 150 feet long and 40 feet wide. The moment it appeared, it gave off a terrifying aura. There were countless thorns on this item that gave off a sense of ferociousness. If someone looked at it, it would cause them to feel a trace of fear. The third god-slaying war chariot. This was the last god-slaying war chariot Wang Lin had and also the strongest. The object of this was to produce a treasure strong enough to kill a god. There was a shocking pressure coming from the god-slaying war chariot before him. The thorns sticking out of the chariot gave off an old aura. Its ferocious appearance was enough to strike fear in people's hearts. Back then, Wang Lin nearly collapsed from facing the pressure. He didn't dare use it and only used the inherited spell to seal it. However, right now Wang Lin was standing calmly next to the god-slaying war chariot. In these hundreds of years, Wang Lin had grown a lot. After closing his eyes, Wang Lin opened them a moment later and his eyes shined. His hands formed seals and his mouth spoke a few complicated words. Then his left hand was placed on his right wrist. A flash of black light gathered on Wang Lin's right hand and then he pressed it on the god-slaying war chariot. The black light landed on the god-slaying war chariot and the chariot absorbed the light. An even more powerful pressure suddenly erupted from the war chariot. All the thorns gave off a black light and they fused together. This black light was very strong, as if it shrouded the world. The black light fused before Wang Lin's eyes and formed 7 flickering runes. Looking at the 7 runes inside the black light, Wang Lin recalled the words left by the creator of the god-slaying war chariot. The third god-slaying war chariot is extremely powerful and is outside my expectations. If this chariot's user can utilize its full power, it can easily kill a celestial god. However, it is incomplete. It requires 3 more materials: mysterious mystery wing, underworld culture wood, and celestial butterfly soul. I regret not being able to find those 3 things. My successor finds those items and relieves my regret. To make the third chariot recognize an owner, you must fuse with the 7 runes and refine into your lifelink treasure. Only then can the real effect be used. Otherwise, even if you fuse with the runes, you can't use its full power. Successor, please choose yourself, choose cautiously and carefully. Wang Lin's expression was calm. When he first saw it, he didn't take it to heart. There was one treasure that one had to be careful, and even more careful when refining. That was one's lifelink treasure. If the imprinted divine sense is wiped out of a normal treasure, it would at most cause an injury, but one would not die. Even treasures that have been nurtured in one's origin soul are the same. Although one would be heavily injured if it was destroyed, it still wouldn't kill the user. The fragment and the swords Wang Lin had were all like this. However, it was a lifelink treasure, then once that treasure was destroyed, on the light side one would be seriously injured and their origin soul would split. On the more serious side, one would just die. However, even though this was the case, there were still a lot of cultivators that refined lifelink treasures. This was because after a treasure was life-linked, the power of the treasure would increase several-fold and the strength of the treasure would increase as the cultivator's cultivation level increased. Wang Lin had seen such things in ancient records. In ancient times, there was a cultivator that used a common flying sword as his life-linked treasure. However, as his cultivation advanced, so did the power of the flying sword, until it reached an unimaginable degree. This third god-slaying war chariot is not the same as the previous two. Wang Lin silently stared at the 7 runes. His right hand touched his bag of holding and the mosquito beast flew out. This beast had not come out for a long time. After it came out, it let out a roar and immediately set off a gust of wind. It then circled around the area and was very excited. After the mosquito beast it was the thunder toad. The thunder toad came out from the bag and landed on the ground. Its eyes revealed a lazy mood and it lied there, unwilling to move. After releasing the 2 beasts, Wang Lin pondered for a bit and took out the celestial sword. He flicked the sword and Shuligua was ejected from the sword. Shuligua was about to flatter Wang Lin, but he was immediately stopped by Wang Lin's gaze. Wang Lin calmly said, "I'm going to refine a treasure. Don't let anyone come within 1,000 feet. Shuligua quickly nodded as he patted his chest and said with a loyal face, "Master, rest assured. If anyone comes unless they step over my dead body, they won't be able to get near you. I, Shuligua, spent my life battling for loyalty, I live for loyalty. No one can compare to I, Shuligua." Seeing Wang Lin front him, Shuligua quickly became quiet and retreated. He took a few glances at Wang Lin, and after determining that Wang Lin was no longer paying attention to him, he thought, "It seems I haven't been practicing my flattery enough lately and I'm not speaking as naturally as I'm used to. Otherwise, this fiend wouldn't have frowned after only a few lines. In the future, I have to get some good practice. This skill is my greatest weapon. Even if I escape in the future, this ability might still be of use." Shuligua made up his mind as he wandered around the area and muttered something no one could hear clearly. However, if someone got close enough, they would still hear some of what he was saying. "Master's spell is very amazing, like that of a real celestial. Little Shu Zi really admires you. Wow, this ability makes Master a pioneer. I really admire. Hey, what is this? This is the power of Master's treasure. Master, you are the most powerful cultivator Little Shu Zi has ever known. Following you was the best decision I made in my life." As Shuligua muttered, his eyes gradually beamed more and he became even more fluent. As the mosquito flew around, it passed by Shuligua and heard some of what he was saying. It didn't really understand, but it couldn't help but become curious. It intentionally flew by Shuligua just to listen some more. After releasing the mosquito beast, thunder beast, and Shuligua, Wang Lin placed a few restrictions down. Only then did he relax a bit as he stared at the war chariot and placed his right hand between his eyebrows. His origin soul flew out and flew toward the war chariot. After his origin soul flew out, it turned into an ancient thunder dragon and went toward the war chariot. After getting close, Wang Lin's origin soul circled the chariot. Then, a moment later, he opened his mouth and devoured a rune. A violent force appeared inside Wang Lin's origin soul as the rune rampaged inside him. A moment later, a force in Wang Lin's body mercilessly squeezed down on the rune. However, the rune was very tenacious. Instead of collapsing, it exploded with an even stronger force. If Wang Lin was still at the ascendant stage, his origin soul wouldn't have been able to withstand this. He would have ended up in a stalemate trying to wear this force down. However, right now Wang Lin let out a snort and a series of explosions came from his origin soul. Each explosion caused the power of thunder inside his origin soul to increase 1-fold. In an instant, the thunder in his origin soul was already extremely powerful and it directly collided with the rune he had swallowed. There was a loud bang as the rune that was resisting collapsed. Right as it collapsed, even more powerful thunder rushed at the fragments of the rune. A series of rumbles echoed inside Wang Lin's origin soul. After a while, the rune completely dissipated and fused with Wang Lin's origin soul. Wang Lin used less than the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn to absorb the first rune. His eyes were calm as he moved toward the second rune and devoured it. This rune was a lot stronger than the first one, but with Wang Lin's origin soul, he still completely refined it. However, this time it used the time it took for one incense stick to burn. He didn't stop. His eyes lit up and this time he swallowed the third and fourth rune together to refine. After 1 hour, the mysterious power of the third and fourth runes were inside Wang Lin's origin soul. Then the fifth rune was devoured by Wang Lin's ancient thunder dragon soul. When it was devoured, it immediately released a violent force that spread across Wang Lin's origin soul. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and his body coiled up. Thunder filled his origin soul as he continued to generate thunder that rushed at the rune. Bolt of thunder bombarded the rune in Wang Lin's origin soul. This time it was 2 hours before that mysterious force completely fused with Wang Lin's origin soul. Wang Lin's origin soul was a bit dim right now, so he returned back into his body and began to recover. Time passed by. In the blink of an eye, 5 days of time passed. Wang Lin's body hadn't moved and his origin soul had gradually recovered. In these 5 days, Tarshan and the ancestor had come here twice with a large group of clan members. The howls from the mosquito beast, the thunder from the thunder toad, and Shuligwa's devilish expression made it so they didn't dare to go within 1,000 feet, so they wandered around outside. Shuligwa looked at the chosen immortal clan and licked his lips. This made him remember the happy past when they were on planet Qingling. Tempted by all this, he couldn't endure it anymore and attempted to lure some of the people on the edge inside. However, no one in the chosen immortal clan paid any attention to him. They were all shocked when they saw the god-slaying war chariot and began talking among each other. However, not even the ancestor, the most knowledgeable person here, knew what it was. However, the pressure from the god-slaying war chariot made their minds tremble. On this day, Wang Lin opened his eyes and his right hand pointed between his eyebrows. His origin soul flew out once more toward the god-slaying war chariot. When he got within 100 feet of it, there was a cry from outside the 1,000 feet area. This video will end here.